Johnny Chung, an American citizen born in Taiwan, came to this country in 1983. His first job was as a busboy at a Holiday Inn in Los Angeles. After this, Johnny opened a computer store. Now, with the PC boom firmly in place, his one store soon expanded to 18. Johnny then became a pioneer in the new fax broadcasting industry with his company, Automated Intelligence Systems Incorporated, AISI. Figuring that government agencies would be a natural market for this kind of service, Johnny began promoting his business first at the state level, then at the federal level. He learned soon how Washington worked and became a high-profile fundraiser for the Democratic National Committee and the White House during the 1996 campaign. Having visited the White House 57 times, he has seen so much of the White House and learned so much of its history that he is sure he now qualifies for the job of White House tour guide. In October 1996, Johnny saw an article in the Los Angeles Times naming him as under investigation for campaign finance violations. Out of over 120 witnesses in the campaign finance investigation, only one, Johnny Chung, came forward to tell his story. All the others either took the Fifth Amendment or fled the country. FBI Director Louis Freeh says that this kind of massive witness non-cooperation is extremely unusual, and he has seen it only in organized crime cases. Johnny's cooperation led to 3 attempts on his life, and he and his family being put under government protection. I think you'll agree, as we hear his story, that Johnny Chung, an American businessman, became an unlikely combination of Forrest Gump and James Bond. My name is Bob Abernethy. I'd like to invite you to join me now with Johnny as we explore his amazing story. Now, Johnny, here you are, American businessman. Now you're in the fax broadcast business. Tell us about your first trip to Washington to the White House. How did that happen?
Well, that was the 1994 when I was in the National Governor Association in Washington, D.C. And I had the opportunity to visit all of the people, all of the governors from different states. You know, Bob, I'm doing the fax broadcasting business. I try to promote my fax broadcasting service to all the different state governors. After all, we are a big country. It's difficult to travel state after state. And I thought it was a good idea. And so I joined to the Conference of National Governor Association. Mistakenly, I took a seat reserved for the White House staff. And then some ladies, the young lady named Miss Rita Lewis, Special Assistant to the President of the United States, working at the White House in a political affair. She came to me, and then later on we know each other, and she invited me to the White House, and we begin to talk. In my mind, is try to get a business, try to get a fax broadcasting service business from the White House to provide them a good service. But in her mind, maybe it's a campaign contribution.
Now, at this point, had you donated any money to political causes before?
I never give them $10 or $50 or anything, no, never.
Okay, so you're trying to promote your business. Now you're invited to the White House. You see a business opportunity. What was the tip-off to you that money, your money, would be welcome in the White House or the DNC?
Well, I tried to, at one point, I tried to talk to her about American passport issue. We are talking about American Taiwanese passport, which is American passport. And then she said, well, there's one 48-year-old birthday for the President of the United States fundraising party. But Bob, you have to understand, I'm pretty much a new kid in town in Washington, D.C. I do not know anything about political contribution at all. We ended up with, we had to give $10,000 per person for the fundraising event in order to get us opportunity in the same morning in the White House, Indian Treaty Room, to talk to them. In the night, we went to the presidential birthday party. And then suddenly my mind wide open. Wow, this is a money for access.
So you figured out that even though you had not donated before to the Democratic Party, this was going to open doors for you, and you decided to help them open doors for you. So you wound up donating, and this led to how many visits to the White House, did you say?
This is the first time, and then I went all the way 57 times inside the White House, not including outside the White House meeting with the President of the United States and the First Lady of the United States, or the Vice President of the United States.
Now, most Americans have not visited the White House at all. 57 visits is an awful lot of visits. Did you ever get the impression from people in the White House, from the President, from Don Fowler, the former chairman of the DNC, that you were coming too often to the White House, that you were wearing out your welcome, or did you get the opposite feeling?
Well, Bob, in 1997, when campaign finance scandal erupted, I said, I see this White House like a subway. You have to put the coin in to open the gate. Why I say that? The people in DNC, people in the White House, they all know that I've been cultivating my business relationship with my business friends from Asia, including China. I often told them that more access I got, more business I make, more money I can make, and the more donation I can give it to them. I always think I did the right things. I feel I did the right thing to my Democrat Party, to my president, even feel loyalty to the United States.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And they all know that.
Yeah. Okay. So you're bringing these Chinese visitors and from other Asian countries to the United States, government officials, business executives. You have quite a collection of photographs with these people in the White House. Why were those photographs so important to those visitors?
Well, but my wife always laughed at me. Why you like to take so many pictures with the people? And now she won't laugh at me again or anymore, because she said, "Wow, picture worth than 1,000 words." I kind of take the pictures and for my own record, and when I see the picture, I can remember all the event, all the situation. Thank God I have kind of the good memory,
Okay.
and the picture helped me too.
And you said that in that Chinese culture especially, a picture with a leader is very important.
Yes, you know, if you go back to Asia, and you can see that in the Asian business brochure, they didn't show you the company grow, or they didn't show you what kind of business they really doing that. But the front few pages will be who meet who, pictures, who took a picture with important people.
Yeah.
You know, picture like a way to go back there. But
Mhm.
sometimes, Bob, I find it out pretty much the same thing here in the United States, especially in Washington, D.C. And those political high-ranking officials, they know. They know the picture is important to the businessman.
Well, speaking of the weight of gold for a picture, one time you were asked to pay $70,000 for a picture with the president?
Yes, that was the 1996, Clinton Gold 96. And I would like to take one more picture with the President of the United States and the Vice President for one of my Chinese friends. And Mr. Richard Sullivan of the DNC said it will be $70,000 more if I had to put $70,000 more for the pictures.
That's a lot of money for one picture.
It is.
Okay, Johnny, a few weeks ago you got an invitation, and this is after all the campaign finance scandal, your testimony in front of Congress, all that's happened. A few weeks ago in mid to late October '99, you got an invitation to attend a fundraiser for for Hillary Rodham Clinton. Tell us about that event, and tell us about your reaction to receiving that invitation.
Well, I've been at Steven Spielberg's house in 1996 with my Chinese business friend, and I gave him $125,000 already and took a lot of pictures at the time. But this time I'm going to say to the First Lady, been there, done that, no thanks.
No, thank you. Okay. So you've been at the Spielberg's home before. Another incident that occurred was you met the Navy Secretary at one point, John Dalton. Tell us about that meeting.
Well, in 1994, Christmas party is my first time to have a Christmas party inside the White House. Like usual, I always have my pocket camera with me. And then there's one gentleman came to me and asked me to take a picture for him and the lovely wife and also 2 adult sons. I said, yes, no problem. I'd delight to do that for you. And later on, he gave me his business card. It said, John Dalton, Navy Secretary. And you know, Bob, I was new kid in town in Washington, D.C. in 1994. I said, are you the secretary who did all of the typing in the Navy Department? And he looked at me, no, I am the Navy boss. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I feel kind of insult question to him. And later on, I decided to enlarge the pictures. And then I asked one of my friends in Washington, D.C., send it to him. And then he wrote a letter to me. He said, Johnny, thank you for the pictures. And next time, if you got an opportunity to visit Washington, D.C., stop by for a cup of coffee. I never met this gentleman again, and I never visit him.
Now, Johnny, some people have said that because of that exchange of letters and the pictures, they've linked you with the lobbying for Costco, the China Overseas Shipping Company, in their bid to take over the naval base at Long Beach, California. But you had no part of that lobbying?
I am not a lobbyist. I already told to the FBI. FBI know that I am not a lobbyist. The Congress know I am not a lobbyist. And the Department of Justice, they know I am not a lobbyist. And I was so happy I have the opportunity to talk to one of the writers for the Year of the Rat yesterday on the radio talk show. And he knows that I am not. He declared I am not. But Bob, I want you to know that on the next month, December, I decided to go to the city of Long Beach to clear my name. But the important message here is, if I am not the one who lobbied the Costco for Long Beach Navy base, who is the one? American people deserve to find it out. Who is the one?
Okay. Now, in all these various donations that you made, there were times that you did donate, and specifically in order to get certain things in return. And that's called a quid pro quo arrangement. Once you gave $50,000 to the First Lady's office inside the White House, and you needed some things in return. Tell us about that.
Bob, I had the Chinese business executive who happened to be the chairman of Chamber of Commerce of China, Mr. Chung. And he asked me, he said, I am going to visit United States, invited by U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and would you co-host, hold my entire trip? And I promise you, after I come back, I'll give you a good business. Well, as a businessman, you have to understand this is a great opportunity for me. So I...
This is the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce for China.
Yes, like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
Good opportunity, right.
Very good opportunity.
Right.
So I decided to do that, and I went from, by the time we were there in Washington, D.C., I decided to ask my point person in DNC, Mr. Richard Sullivan again. And he's kind of pretty hard to get for me for that kind of access. And then I decided to go to the First Lady office at the OEOB 100 at the White House and to ask with the Chief of Staff to the First Lady, Miss Maggie Williams. By the time I got there, Secretary to Maggie Williams named Miss Evan Ryan. I told her, here's my wish list. I would like to have my guest to meet with the President of the United States, First Lady of the United States, and eating at the White House Mass and tour in the White House. And I said, well, I'll be very happy to help whatever I can, but this is my wish list, and here's my guest list. And then she went back to Maggie Williams. She came back from Maggie Williams' office, and then she said, Maggie Williams told her, First Lady have $80,000 stat for Christmas party in 1994.
To who?
To the DNC.
The First Lady owed $80,000 to the DNC.
More than $80,000 to the DNC for Christmas party event.
Okay.
And my light bulb goes on. I said, I'd be very happy to help for $50,000. And I feel I can do something, and I feel my wish list will be granted if I did get the $50,000. After that, I left the office in the White House. I went back to my Washington, D.C. apartment, and I feel very comfortable with that because I feel I secure the meeting. At the same time, next morning I went back to White House with an envelope and then like a thank you note. And I said, dear Maggie or Miss Williams, this is all I can help, and thank you. Sincerely, Chung. And with the $50,000 write it down to DNC in the envelope. I didn't seal it.
The check.
The check.
Unsealed envelope.
Sealed envelope with a check.
Okay.
$50,000. And then I handed it over to Evan Ryan, and she took it. She took a look at it. She didn't open it.
Where are you right now?
I'm inside the White House, room number 100, OEOB.
Okay.
And then she walked to the Maggie Williams outside the office. Then Maggie Williams come back, but everyone handed over to me that envelope. And then I handed over to Maggie Williams by myself. Again, this is an unsealed envelope. And Maggie Williams took me to the corner, at her office at the corner of 100 OEOB. And she opened it up and take a look at it. And then immediately pick it up the phone, make a reservation for the White House Mass for us. And at that point, I feel very comfortable. Yes, I got it. And then...
So Maggie Williams opened and looked at the contents of the envelope, called the White House Mess, granting you your first item on the wish list.
Yes.
Okay.
For the White House Mass, and also allow those people to tour in the White House.
Okay.
And then indeed, the picture will show you, we have a good White House lunch. They have a good visit at the White House and tour around. And then with the, of course, with the, some good people, visitor office, show them around. And we were told we had to come back at 3 p.m. at the same day because First Lady is going to have National Teacher Association event inside the White House. So by the time we got back to White House in the afternoon, same day, we were taken to the room. Now I know it's a Met room in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
We was passing by, Maggie Williams and me was passing by at the Rose Garden, and she gave me that kind of eye. That means everything has been settled. Don't worry, that kind of eye. Then I said, okay, my eye back. Okay.
So you felt good. You knew now you were going to get what you wanted.
Yes. And then we went to the room, and we waiting for the First Lady to come to greet us. And then at that time, I asked Miss Evan Ryan, I said, if the First Lady know I gave the $50,000 to help for the debt of the Christmas party and contribute my $50,000 contribution. And Evan Ryan said to me, she definitely knows that.
Well, why did you want to know that the First Lady knew you gave the $50,000?
Bob, I want to make sure my money work. The place supposed to be, and I want to make sure she know I help.
Item number 1 on your wish list. You got the White House, lunching the White House mess. You got the tour of the White House for your guests. Now you're about to get a meeting with the First Lady. You're in the room waiting for her. What happens next?
And she came, and then she said, welcome to the White House, my good friend. And then immediately handshake with me, with everybody, and then introduce my guest to her.
So in front of your whole group, she comes and says, welcome to the White House, my good friend.
Yes.
That must have made you feel pretty good.
Very good. Very good.
Okay.
And then we took the pictures, and she even invited us to join her to the National Teacher Association. Unfortunately, as my guests, they don't understand English at all. So they're just standing there and doesn't understand the English of what she said.
Okay. Now, and there's one more item on your list, which is you wanted
Meeting with the President of the United States.
meeting with the President. And what happened with that?
They said I should take my guests Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, waiting outside the White House, and we've been granted. And then, well, nationwide TV has been reported on this one. And then everybody sees that we've been greeted with the President with the TV, live TV camera inside. And we all take the pictures. And, well, the President and I, we hug each other, and then introduce everyone and taking a picture. Again, picture more than 1,000 words, and pictures is a picture with the President of the United States is a weight of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And everybody feel very happy about it. But I think I want to say something though. Sometimes I made a bad judgment on my business. This chairman and chairman Cummins, who I took to the White House and meet with the President, and he promised me a lot of business. But one thing I don't know is he retired. Two months after we met with the President, he retired. Obviously, he knows he's going to retire, but he just gave me an empty promise for all of this, and I spent my own money for this.
So he gets a free trip to the United States with his whole group. That was out of your pocket. You paid for what? Airlines, hotels?
Pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got a free visit with the White House. And after all the campaign finance scandal comes up, I got a heat. And then he promised me the business. We got nothing.
Tell us about your donation to Back to Business.
I do not know what that means, back to the business. I even write a check to Big the Business, B-E-C-K, not B-A-C-K. The reason why is I got one lady call me in the Back to the Business, Miss Cutler. Cutler, yeah.
Okay.
She said, Mickey Williams asked her to call me. And she wanted to meet me at the J.W. Marriott Hotel in Washington, D.C. And you understand, I just finished my 1995 Christmas party.
Okay.
And this time, I'm inside the White House for Christmas party. I got free. I don't have to donate anything. I said, whoa, not bad. But right next day, I got a phone call from this Miss Cutler. She said she was recommended by Maggie Williams, Chief of Staff to the First Lady, to call me. And she insists to meet with me. She said, First Lady has a need. There's a senatorial committee, the senator from New York try to trash them, and they as a group try to defend for the Watergate, and they need to launch the campaign to trash the senator from New York, Alphonse D'Amato.
Okay.
Can you say it again?
Alphonse D'Amato.
Yes. And I said, okay. Then I want to make sure she is who she is. And then I check it out with Maggie Williams, I check it out with Richard Sullivan of DNC, and find out she is a former chairwoman, vice chairwoman of the DNC. So I decided to give $25,000. And then she grant me, she said, well, Johnny, if you need any access in Washington, D.C., just let me know. And I said, yeah, why don't you introduce the United States ambassador to China to me, and also help me to meet with some people in the Department of Commerce. And she helped me out, and all my wishes is granted.
Interesting. How about there was an incident involving Africare?
I love to talk about former Secretary Hazel O'Leary. And this is what really happened.
She was involved with Africare. She was a backer of Africare.
After she retired from the news account, I know that she is the one of the director of Africare organization, and one of the Chinese oil company, the biggest oil company, it called Sinopec, China Oil Company. The chairman asked me, can you also tour us around and secure some meeting for us? And again, we will promise you some oil business. Again, Bob, it's empty promise. I said, okay. Then I tried to get the meeting, and what happened is I went to my point person again at the DNC, Mr. Richard Sullivan, and the special assistant to the chairman, Don Farrell. Both of them introduced one gentleman, who later on I find it out is a lobbyist, Wilson Golden, Mr. Wilson Golden.
Wilson Golden.
Yes.
Okay.
And then happened to be Wilson Golden working for the company. Later on, Hazel O'Leary, after she retired, she worked for this company as director too. Obviously, they said they know I want to secure the meeting with the Secretary of Energy. And Mr. Gordon asked me to have a lunch with him at the Navy Army Club in Washington, D.C. He said he can introduce this lady, is one of the directors in the Energy Department, to help me to secure the meeting. By the time I got there, Ms. Cordula Moody, the director of the Energy Department, at her office, she said, it would be nice if you can donate to the Africare. We are going to have an event there. And I asked how much per table. The $25,000 per table. It would be nice if you can help. And then, although I'm a new kid in town, I know money for access at this time.
You're understanding now that
Yes.
if you want your meetings...
Yeah, we are talking about 1996 right
Yes,
now.
yes.
And then I say, yes. And then I know I'm going to secure the meeting. So I went back. It ended up with, she wrote me letters through the fax. I gotta show the fax to my Chinese friend in Dallas at this moment. And then I faxed over to them. And the letter pretty much said, welcome to the United States. And I'm very happy to invite you to join me with the President of the United States and 10 African nations president in the Africare dinner. And then at such day, such time, we are going to have a meeting at my office. I'm looking forward to see you.
You donated your $25,000. You got your meetings?
They sent a gentleman, an African American gentleman came to my apartment in Washington, D.C., and then I gave them a check, and then he also retrieved all of the facts they sent it to me.
He wanted the faxes back.
Yeah. I said, why? He said, one of the IG in Department of Energy said that was illegal.
Inspector General in the Department of Energy said what they had faxed you, they should not have faxed you.
Yeah, that was illegal.
So they wanted it back, and you gave it to him?
Yeah, I gave it to him with the check.
Okay.
All my mind is, well, this is what they want, fine, but I want to secure my meeting, that's it. But at the same time, I already faxed those facts to my friend back there in Texas. Later on, the FBI showed me the copy of original fax. It's not the one I see.
Okay.
They changed.
They changed it.
They changed it.
They changed the actual original fax.
There's 3 paragraphs. The middle paragraph was gone.
Okay.
The middle paragraph said, well, I would like to invite you to join me with the President of the United States and 10 African nations to the Africa dinner.
Okay.
But later on, somehow FBI showed me again with that one. The 3 paragraphs on the letters. Also talked to one of the U.S. attorney, U.S. assistant attorney from Washington, D.C., and also 2 FBI agents. I told them all of this story, and later on I received a letter from Attorney General Reno, say one simple word to say thank you to you is not evidence, so we are not going to appoint independent counsel. But Bob, I want you to know that I meet with, at that night, after we all met, and also I introduced them, the Chinese people, businessmen, to the President of the United States at the Africa dinner. And they immediately flew to Chicago. And at the table number 2 at that event, I'm the only one sit down there.
The guests are gone. You're sitting at the table that you had bought by yourself.
Yes. And then the so Larry came down to me from the stage. I cannot get closer to her because they are all Secret Service and 10 African nation president. And then she come down and said, thank you, Johnny. Thank you. That was a nice meeting this afternoon, right? Thank you.
Okay.
Bob, thank you for what?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for my
It's a
donation.
nice donation, sure. 25 grand.
For the actions.
Okay, Senator John Kerry, Massachusetts. You hosted a party. Tell us about the party. What happened?
I feel I owe him something because when my Chinese friend come over here with that the general's daughters with the son of stockbroker in Hong Kong, and the general's daughter, Miss Liu Chaoyin, they're all thinking about to put Chinese company in United States stock market. And Senator John Kerry helped me to secure the meeting in the Federal Stock Exchange. And I feel I owe him something. I decided to talk to his staff at the August 27, 28 of 1996 DNC convention in Chicago. I say if Senator John Kerry come over, I'd be very happy to host a fundraising party for him. Well, one thing I have to say, I plead guilty to the court already. I made a mistake. I made it. But I wonder how many people in the United States know what the soap money and hot money is.
Very, very few.
I learned it from the hard way.
Mm.
In front of the 3 professional fundraisers, Senator John Kerry's fundraiser, the secretary, and Clinton Gold 96, Karen, and Mr. Richard Sullivan of the DNC. We had a small table like this, and I was writing the check, exchanging the check in front of these 3 professional fundraisers. I'm writing the check, $2,000, and handing it over to my shareholder, Mr. Lee, and he gave me the $2,000 in front of them.
Straw donors. You're with 3 professional fundraisers who are watching it happen. They don't stop it. They don't tell you this is wrong, and you do it.
If they stop me at that moment, I don't think I will do it. And again, I already plead guilty for that. But why they don't stop us? We are changing the check in front of them.
Tell us how you got introduced to people in Beijing, and how did that start, your reputation in China, from Washington to Beijing?
As a businessman, I got my good fax broadcasting equipment. I got a good sales here in the United States, which is a good idea. Definitely, I'm thinking about overseas market. As you know, I'm Chinese American. Even I was born and raised in Taiwan, but China will be a good market for me to promote my fax broadcasting service. So I went to China by someone who invited me in a very different way. As Assistant Secretary of the Department of Commerce, Jude Kearney, Mr. Jude Kearney. He said, I'm going to China with the Secretary Ron Barr and for the presidential trip to China. And I've never been to China in my life. I said, okay, I'll go there, but I know nobody. And they invite me to go. And then at that time, I don't know how much I had to donate to the DNC in order to secure my seat. Obviously, I am not the official member.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go there, and then Jude Kearney come to pick me up in the airport with Mercedes-Benz, and then took me to the Chinese restaurant first because it was 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the midnight. I was so hungry. And then the moment I got there, he introduced the Little Rock, Arkansas man. I was in the karaoke bar, and also with Miss Wang Mei. She is the Charlie Tree's wife. And then after that, I met with them, had my dinner. I went back to the Great Wall Hotel, and they secured a room for me. And I was allowed to in and out with the official function, but not with the official meeting. You know, I used to be a busboy at Holiday Inn,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the happened to be so many years later, my former boss, Holiday Inn general manager, Stanley Wu, happened to be in that hotel, and then he was waiting for one of the Chinese American who is official delegation. And this gentleman, Stanley Wu, my former boss, he said to me, how much do you pay for the trip? How much do you donate to the trip, to the DNC, in order to secure your position? I said, I'm not an official member. But I said, well, I didn't pay anything. He said, come on. My friend is official member. He told me that they pay $100,000
$100,000
to the DNC to secure this trip.
donation to secure a seat, an official seat on the trade trip to China.
That's what. This is
Okay.
second hand,
Right.
but that's what
Right.
I've heard.
How many times did you wind up visiting China?
I would say somewhere around 20 times in 24 months.
And about how many people did you meet during those trips and visits?
2,000 and more.
2,000 or so people.
Yeah.
Okay.
All over the China.
Okay.
I'm a businessman. I try to meet people to get some business.
Okay, so here you are with all these trips, all these meetings with high-ranking business executives, government officials. What's the environment like at these meetings? How does it compare to business meetings in the United States?
Oh, totally different. Totally different. At one point, Bob, I did not understand. Even at the whole entire meeting, drinking the tea, talking about the weather, talking about the food, talking about the city, and then we get into the subject.
Just small talk.
Small talk. Beautiful conversation, but empty. Nothing's there. But later on I found it out. They always ask me, do you want to go to a restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I don't need to go. But later on, my Chinese friend told me, if they ask you to go to a restaurant, and you have to go. I find it very, very interesting.
Now, this is at restaurants, in offices, or both?
Or both.
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 Okay.
And the conversation, the private conversation, will occur at the restaurant.
So the real talk gets done privately when you're invited to the restroom.
The restaurant, and then you can have one-on-one talk, and then with that 3 minutes, all the detailed information will be talked. Take care of my family, take care of my friend, or take care of my daughters. I'll give or whatever business you want.
But they want their children to come to the United States. Why is that?
And they want them to be educated here, and they think that we are the free country. But at one point, but we don't understand. Maybe my wife said I'm not a good businessman. My heart too soft. It's a kind of Christian heart there. And then the way I think that they call me half white devil.
Half white devil.
Yeah. And then they don't look at me as like a Chinese. They look at me as like a Chinese American, and that means they can trust me more in the private conversation.
Okay. Okay. You also learned some lessons about doing business in China and with the Chinese. You've used the term empty promises. What do you mean by that?
Well, when they told you that I'm going to give you a lot of business, you better make sure that what kind of business they gave it to you before you fulfill your promise to them. Well, my experience is I got a lot of empty promise, all your business, or car importation, or all kind of stuff. But when I show them around, two of them around in the United States, when I get back to China, it's gone. They don't care. You know, they often said signing a contract with a Chinese company in China at the beginning of the conversation. Not like the way we did in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
We sign a contract, we honor our contract, we honor our word. But over there in China, signing the contract, that's been the beginning of the dialogue. And it doesn't mean even you get it.
Okay. Just the relationship that they're, oftentimes you said you can't tell the difference between the two. Where the boundary is between a business and the government.
Yeah.
It's different from over here.
Oh, yeah. The business back there is you have to do the business with them, but you have to be very friendly with them. That's what they said. Let's make a friend before we do the business. And the United States is different. A business is business. Let's do business. I don't even care if make a friend or not a friend. But over there in Asia, especially in China, let's make a friend. And that period could be 6 months, could be 1 year to know each other, beginning of knowing each other, and later on you got a business. A totally different environment.
Harry Wu, American citizen, Chinese dissident, was arrested by the Chinese government. President Clinton tells you personally to do something about it. What happened and what did he tell you?
In the June 25 or June 28 of 1995, I got the impression. I saw Mrs. Wu was crying out in our national capital, Washington, D.C. And I asked my wife, if that will be me arrested in China, what do you want to do with it? Are you going to do the same thing? And she said, yes, I will. You bet you. And I kind of, my Christian heart and Christian love there, I decided to do that, to do something. So, happened to be one of my American friends, who happened to be Mr. Charlie Parrish, the first secretary to the U.S. Embassy, was was sent by the embassy official in China from the United States to go to the Xinjiang province, try to find out where's American citizen Harry Wu. And he called me, and he mentioned that he was sent over there to find it out. And then I begin to think about what I can do for Mr. Harry Wu. I called then DNC chairman of California, Mr. Bill Price, and I told him that, and then he agreed. We originally planned is we both of us try to go, and then we later on talked to the chairman Don Farlow, and he agreed it's a good idea for both of us to go. And then at the July 11, 1995, I was invited to meet with the president in that night, with all the chairmen from nationwide, different states.
DNC chairman.
DNC state chairman.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told the president, as a heavy rule, the American citizen issue, and I want to do something about it. And he raised up his finger and pointed to my nose. Johnny, go tell them we have enough problem between two countries. We don't need any more than this. Go tell them they have no right to arrest American citizens. I said, yes, Mr. President, I definitely will tell them that, and I won't come back with empty hand. You have my 100% guarantee. And
So,
we post the pictures. Then I will walk into the door, and then he called me by Johnny, come back, and then this time pulled into my chest. I said, Johnny, go tell them. You go tell them. And Bob, what kind of reaction I got? I said, yes, sir, Mr. President, I gave you my 300% guarantee. I won't come back with an empty hand. And then immediately, Bill Price and I went to meet with the Chinese embassy official in Washington, D.C., and we decided to meet at the Hilton Hotel, Washington. And at the bar area, we will discuss about this. But for some reason, why Bill Price didn't make it, I decided to go. All the documentation show on the congressional investigation, and indeed I was supported by the president. And I went to China. I meet with the Chinese official through this oil company guy,
Sinopec,
the vice president. I took them to the Oval Office meeting with the president. And then later on, I met with the Mr. Liu Hua-chiu, equal to our Antonio Lake, the kind of position.
Okay.
Okay. And then
National security position.
yeah, it's higher than that.
Okay.
It's pretty much the right-hand man to the president of China, Jiang Zemin. And then with the Mr. Liu Xiaoming, who happened to be the minister of Chinese embassy right now in Washington, D.C. And at the August 18, 11:30, at the Diaoyu Tai State House,
Which is the White House.
no, which is like their not White House, is equal to their guest house,
Okay.
White House guest house,
Okay.
and the building number 2. And I was in the circle. I will try to explain to them. Okay, the United States and China like a two-wheel. Okay, and then heavy like a rock in the middle. You got to take it out. And then I didn't mention anything about the president of the United States. And then I just said, well, am I safe here? He said, yeah, you definitely safe here. I said, well, sir, if you can arrest any American citizen, I don't feel I'm safe here. And now, of course, with the good food over there on the table, I don't really eat, Bob, you know that. And then later on, the conversation come out with, if the American government decide to do something good about it, and let's see what we can do. When I stand up and ready to go, if you guys don't get the Taiwanese President Li Denghui a visa to United States again, then that's what we want. One China policy.
He had visited the United States to visit his alma mater,
Yeah.
Cornell University.
Yeah, and then they don't want him to visit United States again. And then one China policy, and immediately asked me, the First Lady coming for the UN Women Conference or not. I said, I don't know. Look at the newspaper. Maybe she is not coming.
Okay, Johnny, now you talked a bit about some of the differences between the business dealings in China versus in the United States. There's another element of difference in how business is done and how government and business leaders conduct themselves. It had to do with karaoke bars. Tell me what happened there.
Well, when we have $3,000 meal dinner, and after that, pretty much they will say, let's go to karaoke bar. And that's pretty much the place you can have a private conversation too and talk. But I often find myself in a very hot situation. They often have a lot of young girls in the karaoke bar, and they have sex in the karaoke bar. And I often find myself in a very difficult situation.
Right in front of you.
Right in front of me.
Is this an open area of the bar, a private room?
The private room. And then I just walk out. There's that kind of situation. The tension too high, you know. And then
Now, these are business leaders or government leaders or both? Or
both.
Both.
And then
Okay.
that is one of the environment.
Okay.
We, as American businessmen, we are not very used to it with that kind of situation. And
And what do they think of your reaction of walking out?
maybe they are too busy. They don't even care. And the next day, they just pretend nothing happened.
Okay. Okay, during the Taiwan Missile Crisis, 1996, you're in China. Again, you wind up getting involved right in the middle of the Taiwan Missile Crisis and playing a role in that. What was your role, and how did that develop?
I find myself, remember that Miss Cutler of Back to the Business, she introduced the
It's Lynn Cutler?
Lynn Cutler. She introduced the ambassador James Saxer to me, U.S. ambassador to China, and I went up to meet with him at his office in Beijing, with U.S. Embassy. And you have to understand, Bob, we got a new ambassador there. Of course, we have a lot of good officers there. But he asked me, do you think this missile issue is for real or just for the game? And I said, why don't you go out and check it out? And he was joking around with me. He said, well, I'm the ambassador. If I walk in the street, people will follow me everywhere in China.
He was asking you, do you think that they're really going to shoot these missiles at Taiwan?
Yes. I also found out they would like to have the others congressional member of China, People's Congress, want to visit with our congressional people in the United States. I wrote him a full report, but I found it out this missile issue could be the real one. And I've been confirmed by the general's daughter, Liu Taoying, when she was visiting the United States. We was in New York, and we talked to the vice president of Federal Reserve Bank in New York, Mr. Israel Sandberg. And Ms. Liu told us, indeed, yes, they originally want to fire one missile, declare malfunction, and hit it to the city of Taipei. And then for some reason they didn't do it at that time.
So initially they were planning, they shot the 3 missiles around the perimeter of Taiwan. The last one, you're saying, they were actually going to hit Taipei, claim it was a malfunction?
That's correct. And I got the confirm. Well, I had to see this is a very, very credible information because she is, after all, she is the daughter of the high-ranking general, you know.
But they backed off from that plan.
Yes, I don't know why they back off. I just, maybe I'm in the wrong time, in the wrong place. But before that, I keep myself waiting and waiting. You know, Bob, I was born in Taiwan. and I really care about the place I was born.
Sure.
And then I waited until March 24 in the morning, and then I decided to come home. But I was so sorry for that. My youngest daughter was born 15 minutes before I arrived in Los Angeles airport, and my wife was keep complaining with me about that. I said, honey, I think I did the right thing, but I'm sorry for the family, for you, for my daughter.
Ultimately, as we all know now, the United States sent 2 aircraft battle groups, aircraft carrier battle groups, to the Taiwan.
Indeed, I did have a conversation with the FBI investigator on campaign finance scandal. He also talked to the ambassador, James Sesser, about all of this issue. And that FBI agent confirmed that to me.
Okay, okay. Now, you've mentioned this name once or twice so far, Liu Qiaoying. Liu Qiaoying, daughter of the most powerful general in China. How did you meet her, and what was her interest in Johnny Chung?
Well, Bob, maybe my 20th visit to China, meeting with 2,000 people, 57 trip to visit the White House, meeting 500 people in Washington, D.C., maybe more, and bring the attention to the Chinese government. And I also have my brochure with a lot of pictures in the Asian style. And maybe my many visit to the White House and meeting with the high-ranking United States official bring a lot of attention to the Chinese government. And at one point in 1996, summertime, there's one retired banker in Hong Kong, 80-some years old gentleman, and he asked me, do I have a chance to invite this lady, Miss Liu Qiaoying, to visit the United States. At that time, when we met in Hong Kong, she showed me she is the vice president of China Aerospace Company in Hong Kong, a public company. And I said, sure, why not, as a businessman. And then you need to understand, it's the daughter of the high-ranking general. It makes no difference to the daughter of General Colin Powell to me. Okay?
So to you, it was the same as if
She's the daughter of the general.
Right. You knew she was the daughter of the general,
Yes.
but you did not know at the time that she was an officer also
I do not know.
in the People's Liberation Army.
I do not know until the campaign finance elect 1998 news account report, and I begin to know she is also the lieutenant colonel of the Chinese army. But at that time, all I know is the 2 positions. One is the daughter of the high-ranking general, and the second is the vice president of China Aerospace Company. So I decided to invite her to the United States, and then I decided to tour her around and show her around. In the Chinese way, I can say, put a powder on my face, make me look good, and try to talk myself up. And then, after all, if you want to do business in China, I feel this is a good opportunity. So at one point, I invited her to meet with the President of the United States in Los Angeles, and I ended up taking a picture with the President. But before that, I introduced her to Don Fowler, then the DNC chairman. I said, Mr. Chairman, this is the Vice President of China Aerospace Company, Ms. Liu Qiaoying. And also, she is the daughter of the high-ranking Chinese Army general. And Don Fowler said, well, I used to be a second lieutenant, the lowest ranking U.S. Army officer, but I am the highest ranking United States Democrat chairman. Well, obviously, he knows who she is. And then later on, at the end of the day, the end of the whole entire trip, she decided to set up a company with me, and promised me for $300,000 to do the business. And
To invest in
To
your
invest.
business?
yeah, the business.
Yeah.
The business we decided to do is a fishery business in South China Sea, and also do the business to put a Chinese company in the United States New York Stock Exchange. And one thing for that is she told me that her husband is the one of the minister who control all Chinese state-owned corporation. So they got the ability to send a giant, big Chinese company to the stock exchange market in New York. And that also proved it to you. I met with some federal exchange, stock exchange official in Washington, D.C. That's the reason why we visit there.
And that was the meeting that John Kerry helped you arrange.
That's correct. But Bob, you have to remember on this one is there's no money involved yet. Again, this is only promise.
Right.
And I take this promise seriously.
You promised to invest $300,000 in your business.
That's correct.
Okay.
And so at one point, I went back to China, and then I went back with my daughter's girlfriend. Both of them at that time were 15 years old, American teenager. I thought it's a good idea to take American-born, Asian American-born, and to go back to Asia and to see the life's tough there. And the life's wonderful and easy over here in the United States. Don't take it for granted. And then we was visit them, the people, business friend there. At one point, we was through Hong Kong to Macau, entering into China, a city named Zhuhai, is a border with Macau. At that point, that day, we arrived in the Zhuhai city. The cellular phone rang, and she called me. I need you to come back. I need you to meet a very important gentleman from Beijing, and he's important to help our business. I said, no way, I'm not going to abandon my two teenager daughter right here in Zhuhai. And she said, you have to, it's very important. And then I cannot trust anyone over there in China. But these two American teenagers doesn't speak that much English, Chinese, I'm sorry. And then I decided to hand it over to the gentleman named Mr. Fish Powders. Up to today, I still honor my word with the Department of Justice for the ongoing investigation. I'm not going to mention the name. And we give the nickname Mr. Fish Powder.
Mr. Fish Powder.
Yes, and then ask him to taking care of them.
Okay.
Then I went back to Hong Kong by ferry, and she picked me up, and then it is somewhere around late evening, and we went to one of the famous abalone restaurant in Hong Kong, and I through the basement, and then her telephone was ringing, and I thought, oh, how can you answer the phone in the basement? And she said, we got a special antenna. Okay, I said, whoa, that was something. And then
In the restaurant, she says, we have a special antenna.
yes. And then, I was asking what kind of cellular phone battery is so powerful.
You want to buy one?
I buy one. I want to buy one, you know.
Yeah.
And then she was sitting in front of TV screen and look into the stock exchange. So, I lose some money on this. Oh, I make some money on this. Obviously, she is very involved with the stock exchange. And that made me feel good because we are talking about stock exchange.
Yeah, as a businesswoman, you're...
Yeah, and then to put a Chinese company back there in New York for stock exchange. And then we've been waiting for almost hours, maybe hours and a half. And then during that time, she said, the gentleman you are going to meet is very important. Talk yourself up and tell him what you did, what kind of business you are doing, and how many people give you empty promises in China, and then also what kind of situation, well, how wonderful the trip I took her in the United States, meeting with the President of the United States.
Okay.
And I did. And then suddenly the gentleman come through the kitchen, not from the way we come in, you know, and he introduced himself. I said, my name is Johnny Chung. and then Chairman CEO of AISI. And he introduced it, just call me Mr. Xi.
Mr. Xi.
Yeah, equal to call me Mr. Smith. And obviously, you know, it's
I
not.
don't think that's really his name.
That's definitely
Right.
not.
Right.
And then we were talking about some issue and show him up, show him my business brochure and talk myself up. And at one point he said, it looked like you know a lot of people in Washington, D.C. And it looked like you are very loyal to your Democrat Party. It looked like you love your president very much. I said, indeed, I am. I'm a die-hard Democrat. I love my president. And suddenly he said, we like your president. We like to see him re-elected. I will give you 300,000 US dollars,
Mm.
and you can give it to your president and the Democrat Party. And then, you know, Bob, I in my mind, I say, who the hell you think you are? But I cannot say it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get an insult attitude to the General's daughter's
Mhm.
gentleman.
How did she treat this gentleman?
She treat this gentleman like a boss.
Okay.
You can see the attitude in the environment of who is a boss.
So this-
Obviously, this gentleman is a boss.
This made you careful about what you said back to him.
Oh yes, a little
Mm.
bit, yeah. And then the whole entire event, conversation was ended, and then nobody eat really much anything, and everybody just left. And this gentleman left through the kitchen, and we left the way we come in down to the basement. Probably didn't see anybody pay the bill.
Good deal.
Yeah, good deal. Nobody paid the bill. So I went into the Mercedes-Benz car, her car, brown color, light brown. And then I was ready to ask her the question who this gentleman was. And then she put her finger on the lips and pointed to the driver and said,
Be quiet.
be quiet. So we take a 10 to 15 minutes right back to the hotel. And then I said, the moment I jump out from the car, I said, who the gentleman is? And she said, he's the General Ji Sender. I said, who the hell he is? And then she said, Mr. Chung, you have to learn your Chinese history. I said, yeah, I was born and raised in Taiwan. I've learned Chinese history in Taiwan. And they didn't mention anything about who is the general or what is Chinese history there. And communist China history. And then she wrote it down on a small piece of letters in Chinese character, Ji Sender. And then she said, he is the military intelligence director of People's Labor's Army. Whoa.
Military Intelligence Director of the Chinese People's Liberation Army.
Yeah,
This is who you just met with,
yeah, and
who told you these things. And
equal to our CIA director, maybe, that's the position. And my mind is, Bob, you don't understand, I have to keep quiet at this moment. Nobody give nobody money, anything. My mind is two American teenagers back there in China. And you know, at this time, Hong Kong still under British law, British colony. I want to get them back. So I keep my mouth shut. Immediately I went back to Hong Kong. Went back from Hong Kong. I went back to Zhuhai, and then get the two teenagers over there, and then I asked.
from Mr. Fish Powder, who
Yeah.
took care of them.
And then who I asked, General Ji Sender's name on piece of paper. Of course, I asked Mr. Fish Powder if this is really the gentleman. He said, she said he is. And then Mr. Fish Powder looked at it and smiled to me. Yes.
Mm.
Okay, and then I keep my mouth shut. I just want to get the kid out of China,
Which you did.
which I did. And then we take a ferry back to Hong Kong. And then immediately, the same day in the night, we got the second meeting in the hotel room, side by side with my hotel, 11:30 in the night. And the moment I walk into the hotel bar area, Miss Liu Tang was sitting there, and obviously the general center is waiting in some area. And then 10 seconds to 15 seconds, I arrived. Immediately, he coming to join us. And said to her in front of me, I will wire you $300,000. You can wire to him. I need a receipt in order to report to the organization. Well, I was this was really bad. I want a business of a normal business. It's not like this kind of business. And immediately.
And the amount was $300,000.
Exactly what she promised me. And but very, very strange. Immediately, Mrs. G followed up. And Mrs. G,
General's wife.
Yeah, and joined us. And the whole entire event conversation began turning into Papa's and Mama's conversation. I got a son, Alex. He was there in the United States for almost 11 years, like American teenager. And then he's ready to go to UCLA. Like Mama is complaining about empty nest. Okay, and I said, well, I have to let it go. And then what it is, you have to let it go, you have to let it go. And then that kind of Mama's and Papa conversation. And then I left the entire conversation earlier. I went back to my hotel room, and I feel very odd, very uncomfortable. And then the next morning, when I wake up, the general's daughter, Mrs. Liu, called me at my hotel, and she wake me up. She always talk dirty, you know that. And I said, "Whoa, this is good morning," because somebody just cursed me first and then say good morning and then shouted to me. And she said, "Why you don't have U.S. dollar account?" Then I had to go to the bank and to get that $300,000 exchanged to Hong Kong dollars in order to wire to your account. I said, I'm an American citizen. I got my U.S. dollar account in the United States. Why I need a U.S. dollar account in your country, in Hong Kong?
So you've got an account, it's in Hong Kong dollars, not American dollars. She thinks your account's going to be in American dollars. Now she's really ticked off at you because you don't have an account in American dollars, and she's got to do a conversion.
Yeah, that's correct.
Of the money to Hong Kong.
That's
dollars.
Correct. And thank God for that.
Bob, I want you to know that I do not want to use her money. In the next few days, I also received another $200,000 from one of my Hong Kong business friends for business purpose. I put these two money at the same pocket. The safest way for me to say it here is let my banking record speak for itself. And there's one Chinese mafia who called himself Mr. Peter Chen. And then he harassed me, and he said if I don't give him $200,000, and he will kill my whole family. So I gave $200,000 to him. And later on, FBI looking for him. I think my banking record will show it to you. And I like to say that, where's Mr. Peter Chen? People are looking for him.
And one thing, Bob, I don't understand is, I gave my banking record in summer 1997 to the FBI and Department of Justice. But at May 11, 1999, by the time I got to testify in Dan Burton Committee in the United States Congress, and obviously they still didn't get all of the information they need.
This is information that you had given to the FBI Justice Department a long time ago, over a year ago, over a year and a half.
Yeah. 2 years and
had not been
2 years and a half, Bob.
2.5 years,
Yeah.
and had not been given to the congressional investigators.
I wonder why.
Okay.
I wonder why.
Okay. Here you're going about your business, and one day you read a story in the Los Angeles Times, a prominent story, which names you as under investigation for campaign finance violations. What was your reaction?
Shock.
You had no idea.
I have no idea. I'm the one who gave the money. Why I had to become one of the poster boy in the whole entire scandal. I immediately called Richard Sullivan at the DNC. And I said, what happened? I'm the one who gave the money. What happened? And he said, Johnny, I can talk. Goodbye. And hang up the phone. And that was it. I never able to contact with the gentleman. And the whole entire attitude from the DNC to me are totally changed.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Okay. Okay, you're under investigation. Your life is drastically changed immediately. You need to hire an attorney. You need to decide about courses of action. Ultimately, you decide to fully cooperate.
You see, Bob, I made a mistake. I paid a huge price for that. But because of God's mercy and grace, and the love of Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of my family, still be able to talk
What,
to you.
what made you decide to cooperate? I mean, we've got an investigation with 120 witnesses. No one's cooperating. Everyone's leaving the country, taking the Fifth Amendment. You're the first one to cooperate. Why?
As a Christian, I just simply cannot lie. And my daughters asked me when the campaign finance scandal erupted in 1996. She said, Dad, whether you like it or not, this is a part of American history. What are you going to do with it? But you know, I have a very close relationship, that kind of father-daughter's relationship with my eldest daughter, Janet. I said, Janet, I will come out and set the record straight and tell the whole truth. For our generation, for the children next generation. It's important to the country. And the American people deserve to know the whole truth. And my wife also very encouraged me. I'm lucky, I got a very godly wife. She said, go tell the truth. I will stand behind you, and we will take the heat together. And I want you to know that I never regret to come out to tell the truth. Although,
Even now, you know, your business is closed this last month. You lost a lot of customers as a result of this. You've been threatened in attempts on your life, and you don't regret.
never regret to come out to tell the truth.
Describe for me this process. Describe the FBI interrogations and what those were like.
The end of 1997, early 1998, I meet with the Department of Justice, my prosecutor, Mr. Mike McCall, and also with some FBI agent, with my attorney. I give them the information about this General G Center. They show me the picture lined up. Within 2 seconds, I pick it up.
They show you how many pictures on the table?
I think 10 or 12 of them. And in 2 seconds, I pick it up, General G Center's current pictures, and then some black and white pictures of younger age, which I know this is two same face. And then you would understand General G Center is kind of a mystery person. Not too many people know the face.
Nobody knows what this guy looks like, and you look at these pictures of him and other people in different ages, and you pick him, 2 pictures of him, the only 2 pictures of him out of that group in 2 seconds.
Yes.
And Michael McCall, your prosecutor, told me later that at that moment there was silence in the room.
Yeah.
They knew something very significant was going on here
Yes.
when you picked out those pictures.
Yes, because I know I tell them the truth, the whole truth all the time. And at that time, they know something very serious here.
From people in the Justice Department who were involved in that process, that they never caught you lying.
No.
They never tripped you up. It was consistent all the way.
Yes. And then all the information they got later on, they all cooperated. All of the one evidence after another. because I know I'm telling the truth.
Apparently people found out, the wrong people found out, that you were cooperating, and this led to 3 different attempts on your life. Describe those.
I was fully cooperate with the government official and tell them everything I know. And at the same time, I find myself in a very difficult position. The only way I can describe myself is like a sandwich. A group of people with integrity really looking into deep for this whole entire scandal. People like my prosecutor, Michael McCall, and then the other group of people, and it's really like kind of breaking away. And then I, in myself, like the position as a criminal, as a cooperator witness, I often find myself too many balls, like a one pot, but too many cook. And
One pot, too many cooks.
Exactly.
Trying to please too many people.
Exactly.
Some want to dig in, some want to back off.
Exactly.
What do you do?
And then I just have to please everybody. But I continue to tell the truth, but the attitude I have to please everybody. And I often find myself, one group of people ask me to do this, and the other group of people ask me, don't do this. Okay? And sometimes I have to put myself in a very difficult situation to make a decision. Regarding of my cooperation with the government, I begin to plead guilty at the March 9, 1999. And then when the sentencing judge asked me, how do you plead? I said, guilty, Your Honor.
March 9th, what year?
On March 9, 1998. The sentencing judge asked me, how do you plead? I said, I plead guilty, Your Honor. And then immediately I was took down to the basement in the courthouse, and then with one prostitute and one thief, and to the U.S. Marshal office to take a fingerprint.
So you're with a prostitute, a thief, fingerprint time.
Yes. And then the U.S. Marshal office said, what kind of crime did you commit? I said, campaign finance violation. And he said, I cannot find a campaign violation, campaign finance violation on my TV screen, my computer screen.
It's not one of the options for him to select on his computer screen.
No. And that thief and that young lady prostitute asked me, who are you? How come so many medias are around with you? I said, I'm a criminal just like you. I'm a criminal. And then from that long aisle, when I come out, and the U.S. Marshal treat me very good. And then I say, Lord, help me. I want to make it up the mistake I made. Help me. I want to fully cooperate.
Okay, Johnny, so here you are. You're cooperating with the FBI, the Department of Justice. The wrong people apparently find out that you're doing this. This leads ultimately to 3 different attempts on your life that the FBI puts you and your family under government protection as a result of. Tell us about those 3 attempts.
Well, on March 9, 1998, I plead guilty. Immediately, the FBI and Department of Justice instruct me to tape all of the incoming call. And immediately, I was approached by one gentleman named Mr. Robert Liu, represent himself like a messenger, the Chinese messenger. And send me the message the first time we meet each other at the Hilton Hotel in Torrance, California. Of course, I was surrounded, protected by the FBI, and I find myself wild with the body wild. Then into the meeting, and the message is delay. The President of the United States is going to visit China. That's more important than anything. And then take them around, take the FBI investigator around, and don't tell them anything. And then it say, keep quiet. If you keep quiet, you are going to retire in style, which means I'm going to receive a lot of money. And then, of course, I cannot go back to the normal life anymore. I'm too rich. That's what he said. And then he said, but if you talk, everything will be out of control. And then immediately he gave me some kind of secret code. What time and what day, I don't know what that means, secret code. And then he gave me the code and then asked me to visit with a gentleman named Mr. David Brockway. He called himself the former attorney of the Watergate. And then I was instructed by the FBI and Department of Justice script by the FBI, how to respond to the question, how to react. And I find myself ready to go to a meeting with this gentleman at the private club.
Where? What's it?
In Los Angeles downtown.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Robert Liu said this is a very secret private club, not even CIA can get in. But thank God we have such a wonderful FBI. All of the FBI was there before I walked into the club. And what happened at that afternoon on May 14, 1998, when I was ready to go undercover operation with the FBI, and my attorney office got a phone call from New York Times. Bob, obviously somebody leaked all of this information to the New York Times in order to burn the undercover operation. And then they've been talking about General G's money, fully cooperation, and all of this kind of stuff. And the FBI asked me, Mr. Chung, if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to go. But you know that I committed, fully cooperate. Even I put my life in danger. And then I said, yes, I will go.
The New York Times knows about this. And did he know they were going to print it, or were they maybe thinking of not printing it?
My attorney asked them, kill the story for a couple of days. And they said if the FBI director, Louis Freeh, called them up, they will, but otherwise they won't. They just continue to go on. And then the next morning they were printed. Indeed, they printed.
So they never got that call from Louis Freeh?
No.
They printed the story. You're given the option now. Johnny, you may not want to go ahead with this, but you do anyway.
Yes.
Okay. You meet with Robert Liu. Everything is taped.
Everything is under videotape and audio tape. And also meet with Robert Liu and Mr. David Brockway. At this point, and the conversation, it come out with the Mr. Robert Liu said, the high-ranking Chinese government official in Beijing and the high-ranking official in Washington, D.C., they all agreed to taking care of my case. If I had to go to jail, I will send it to the country club jail. I even suggest me I will get a presidential pardon if I willing to keep quiet. And at one point, David Brockway will mention about number 3 of Department of Justice, head of civil division, is going to work on the case. And then I don't remember the name, but one thing for sure, they don't know, is I wear the body wire and surrounded by the FBI agent.
Mm-hmm. So when was the first threat and time to be under protection by the FBI?
And the next morning, on the May 15 of 1998, in the afternoon, somewhere around 11:45 to 12 at the room time, I got a phone call from the FBI, and the message is, Mr. Chung, it's time to go. Take your family and yourself, move to some safety place. And they send the agent, the FBI agent, to go to my house and take all of us to a hotel nearby in Los Angeles airport. One thing very interesting is I had my breakfast at the next day in the morning, and behind me is a 50 inches giant TV screen, and then happened to be my face is right on the TV screen, and I'm right in front of you, Bob. And then the FBI agent said, no, this is not a place.
It's a story about you.
About me.
That you're under protection somewhere in the...
No, it's a story about the campaign finance scandal.
Okay.
And then later on, we moved to a safety location. And then in that afternoon, I was so angry. I was so angry about it because on the NBC internet news, it said Mr. Chung and his wife with the 3 children was under government protection and in somewhere hotel nearby Los Angeles area, and fear of retaliation of Chinese army.
So someone in a position to know tells NBC you and your family are under protection in a hotel in the LA area.
I was yelling to the FBI who protect me. I said, what's going on here? And next one will be my room number in my hotel. Okay, and then I cannot mention about it. It's another major newspapers reporter also told me that some of the government officials give them the information to them about this.
He said it was a government official
Yes.
told him about the same story that NBC reported.
Yeah, and then they choose for protect my family. They don't want to report it.
Okay. Okay, so one reported it, one did not. Okay.
And then the reason why at that time I said the FBI, I can see that I was under government protection 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the whole family, you know that. I was allowed under the sunshine 1 hour a day, and with my sunglasses, with my baseball cap, T-shirt, and a Chopin slipper. I don't even believe Bob you can recognize that it's Johnny Chung, you know. And at one point, I see all the FBI who got a machine gun, and then they was instructed not to answer my question.
Mm.
And then you have to understand that kind of situation. But we do have a good FBI agent and good government official there. I want to say thank you very much to this group of FBI. I want to say it in public. They are the counterintelligence group in the FBI in Los Angeles. After all of this happened, they cut off their direct communication with Washington, D.C. They want to make sure not too many people know where my family is. And I also want to let you know that I don't even talk to my attorney. I don't even talk to my attorney what hotel I am in. At the same time, I want you to know that I see something strange. I see all the people who protect me with the machine gun. And later on, I find it out through them. There's 4 gentlemen. The first attempt is 4 gentlemen from Beijing, China. And they flew from Beijing to Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and then Honolulu, Hawaii, and then go back to Tokyo, Japan, then back to Beijing. And then they call that, not me, they call hit squad. And the second one, I want to thank God for wonderful counterintelligence information we got. There's 2 gentlemen and 1 woman arrived in Los Angeles, and they caught them, and then they sent them back on the same airplane. And then Bob, the third one I got is on March 20, 1999, in my office. One Italian-American accent came to my office and called me first, asked for the meeting, and then immediately come to my house, my office, and bump in the door like a crazy, and go to my next door and ask them, and it is company people in and out or not, and then they find the gentleman with a muscle, and then a backpacker with a weapon, and then one thing this gentleman, Italian-American, doesn't know is I have FBI agent inside my office to protect me at that time. At one point, the FBI agent almost pulled out a gun and to protect me, and they got the guy, and then I don't know what happened with the gentleman.
And what happens to you and your family?
Yeah, they decide to move me to the hotel again, and they don't allow me to go home, and then they send the FBI agent to go to my house, pick up my wife and my children, back to the hotel again, and that was a Friday, and then that was later on Saturday morning, and then I got a phone call from the FBI who protect me, and they said, we've been called off, we've been signed off. Bob, you know that, you are my family friend, you are my good friend, and I want to thank you. You've been there with me with this time, and you saw everybody's gone on Sunday, you are the only one who protect me and my family to go to our church.
Well, it was my honor to do that, and I'm glad I could help you out at that time. Okay, Johnny, during this time, you're under government protection. You meet with Chuck LaBella, head of the Justice Department Campaign Finance Task Force. He is charged with delivering to Attorney General Janet Reno a report on the investigation. Ultimately, he recommends to her the appointment of an independent counsel. FBI Director Louis Freeh concurs, but despite both of their recommendations, Attorney General Reno declines to appoint an independent counsel. When you met with Charles LaBella, what did you tell him?
I said to him, Mr. LaBella, you are the person with integrity. In my situation, you know that I was under government protection. You are investigator, your own boss. The number 3 Department of Justice had a civil division. And what happened here? I told him that I gave $50,000 to make you with and former chief of staff to the First Lady. Money for access. I gave $25,000 to RP money for access for the meeting, to secure meeting with the then Secretary Hazel O'Leary. I said the $25,000 I illegally donated to the Clinton Gold 96. What happened there? The 2 professional fundraisers, Richard Sullivan and Karen Stonefire of Clinton Gold 96, they already know that 18 Chinese businessmen with me, they are Chinese citizens. They are not Asian American. And that night we were there, why they asked me to change the check next day. They returned the $25,000 check to me next day.
That was the straw donor incident.
Exactly.
Told him about that.
Yeah, I plead guilty for that, Bob.
This whole process of cooperating and testifying, your attorney received a package, an unsolicited package sent to them, you say, by Democrats on the House Government Reform and Oversight Committee. And this package was, you didn't ask for it, unsolicited, but they tell your attorneys in this package how you can take the Fifth Amendment.
My attorney is a fine and good attorney at the West Coast. Besides every American attorney, they know how to take effect. That's the message I want to say here.
So they didn't need instruction on what the Fifth Amendment was or how it could be invoked.
They sent a package to my attorney for what purpose?
What was your attorney's reaction to receiving this package?
Oh, he said in the nationwide television, ludicrous.
Congress, David Chippers, they don't know about what's happening with General G, but the FBI certainly was aware. Now, the FBI, at one point, develops a plan to arrest General G at the Los Angeles International Airport, and they would need your cooperation. What did they ask you to do in that situation?
At one point, the FBI told me that, and the Department of Justice people, they said, General G had to come to visit United States at least once a year. And then also he got a son here in the United States. And then they were thinking to take me to the airport, international airport in Los Angeles, and try to pretend to put some blood on my mouth. And then the only thing I need to do is point the finger to General G when he arrived. And then that's all they want me to do. I say, if you really want me to help, you can really hit me. You don't need to put a blood on my face. Okay, you can really hit me, and then we can go over there. I said, I can go over there and point my finger to him. This is a gentleman. And they said, We won't hit you, but we'll put a blood on your face.
They wanted to make it look like they were working you over to cooperate, to point out this man who had wired $300,000 into your account for the purpose of supporting the 1996 presidential effort of President Clinton.
Exactly. And also, the more important thing is, I asked them why. They said, well, that would be nice if we can ask this General G, the military intelligence director of China, to be fully cooperate with the American government, and that would be something. Besides that, we find it out his wife got account of million in the United States Bank, and they also got $1 million house in Los Angeles area, and then they want to see how they can really force this General G to be fully cooperative.
So they wanted to get working on their team, so to speak, the director of Chinese military intelligence. And they had a plan to do that. And they thought they had the leverage to make that happen. But the State Department steps in and says no.
What happened is the FBI told me that the State Department doesn't allow to make this plan approved. I wonder why. And also, Bob, if we can have the Chinese military intelligence director fully cooperate with American authorities, I think we win the war.
Yeah. Okay, in another incident, Robert Liu, the messenger who was telling you to cooperate or else, part of the incentive to cooperate was you'd be taken care of. You'd be given money. And in fact, there was a sting operation set up for you to go and pick up money from Robert Liu under surveillance by the FBI. The operation was planned, and it was within 25 minutes of being executed, which would have given them basis to arrest Robert Liu. And suddenly the plan was called off.
Well, under my government operation period of time, I was instructed by the FBI and the Department of Justice to call Robert Liu, and I said, where's the money? And he said, well, I have a bag of money ready for you to pick up at my house, even talking about the secret word, Beijing the Zhuhai, which means the secret word on the conversation. And then we were ready to pick it up the bag at the Robert Liu's house. And of course, you have to understand, I was walking in. I was ready to walk in to some location. I don't even know the environment. We are pretty much ready. But within 25 minutes, the whole entire operation called off. Because FBI told me at the very beginning, if he, Robert Liu, wouldn't give you $100 or $1,000, we can arrest him on the spot.
Okay.
Okay, and then I wonder why they called off 25 minutes before we were ready to go pick it up.
Do you know who called it off?
The U.S. attorneys, or U.S. assistant attorney in Los Angeles office.
Right, okay. Now let's go back to November 1998, October, November. You're about to make a trip to Washington, D.C. from Los Angeles to provide your first ever testimony, official testimony, in court. Grand jury, secret testimony, different now from the many interrogations and meetings with FBI and other agencies. Time to go to court now. Time to tell what you know. Still the only cooperating witness out of 120 witnesses in this high-profile case. The FBI is telling you all along that they're going to escort you, protect you on your trip from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. A few days before the trip, you're told by them, to their surprise also, the Los Angeles FBI surprise, no one will be coming with you. You need to make that trip by yourself. What was your response to that? How'd you feel?
Very angry, and Bob, you know that, you were there with me. And then a few days before I made the trip, and then FBI told me they cannot go with me. And my my ticket was booked in to arrive in the in Washington D.C. area at the middle of the night. And I told you that, Bob, and you were angry too. So you decided to go with me, and you decided to protect me like my only brother. And we were on the same plane, and we went to Washington D.C. at the middle of the night. You've been there with me, and you know that, and thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I felt the same way you did. Incredible that this could happen to a witness, the only cooperating witness, like I said, ready to go to Washington. What's going on here? LA, FBI, pulled off immediately before the trip, to their surprise as well as yours, as well as mine. I'm glad I could go with you. And we had an interesting trip. Now your sentencing, which has been repeatedly delayed, is imminent now. The DNC sends a letter to your sentencing judge, Manuel Real, federal judge in Los Angeles, telling him that they were victimized by Johnny Chung and that you took advantage of them. And because of this, the judge should throw the book at you.
As you said, the DNC portrayed themselves as a victim, victimized by Johnny Chung. And when the judge delayed the sentence totally 5 times, all the way to the last day of December 14, 1998, the first sentence he said, "It's very strange. The giver come plead guilty in front of me, and givee get off free." And the second sentence, I'm going to quote unquote, he said, "If the Mr. Richard Sullivan of the DNC and then the DNC chairman down follow, these two gentlemen doesn't know what's going on here. They are two dumbest politicians I ever see." And the third sentence, he said, "It's very strange why our Attorney General, General Reno, does not appoint independent counsel."
And this is after he's read your secret grand jury testimony.
After he know all my sentencing information.
Okay.
But I want to say, I want to thank God for a good judge, a top judge. Everybody know Judge Rio. He's top judge, but he's with a good heart. And he gave me a second chance, and I thank for that.
Let's go back to Mr. Fish Powder. Mr. Fish Powder, we'll use that name right now. At one point, he's put on something called a watch list. A watch list is supposed to identify government officials doing things such as campaign finance investigations, for example, that someone from outside the country is trying to enter the country. They should be notified immediately when that attempt is made. He's put on the watch list. But then you find out he's able to come and go freely into this country and out. And your prosecutor, for example, knows nothing about it.
One thing my prosecutor told me that this gentleman, Mr. Fish Powder, was put in under government watch list. But at one point, this gentleman called me out of the blue, and I was so shocked. And I was under instruction by the FBI and the Department of Justice again to meet with him. And at one point on Sunday, I was ready to do my community service, and he called me out of the blue, and then I had to come back all the way to my office to answer the phone and tape all of the conversation. And the people involved in my case was very angry and said, why this guy is under the government watch list and nobody even notifies us.
Let's go back to that third attempt on your life at your office, FBI agent present. Immediately you're put under, you and your family, put under protection yet again. This was, as I recall, on a Friday. You're in protection Friday night. Someone in the FBI or the Justice Department decides to call off the team protecting you, to sign them off your case, immediately and permanently, again to their surprise. and to their disappointment. Right? How did you feel when that happened, and what did you do about that?
Well, that was on Saturday morning. I found out already the FBI was called off, and I called you, Bob. I called my pastor in our church, and then we all met, and you guys decided to protect me and my family from that point. And the following Monday or Tuesday, I called the FBI office, and happened to be the U.S. Assistant Attorney again on the phone with me. And he said, Mr. Chung, your case is over. As a normal American citizen, what did you do if you feel your life in danger? You just call 911. I said, what? You just call 911. I said to my probation officer, he asked me to call 911. And she said, what? I said to Judge Manuel Rio, my sentencing judge, and he also said, what? Call 911. And this was the same gentleman who called off to pick up the bag from Robert Ru's house.
Okay. Johnny, I remember on the day of your testimony in Congress, May 11th, 1999, we were invited that evening for dinner at the home of your prosecutor, Michael McCall. While we were there, you asked him, how many people have you prosecuted and invited to dinner at your home? And he said that you were the first one.
He said, you are the only one. And I said, Mr. McCall, how many people you try to put them in jail and you still invite them to go to your house? And he said, Mr. Chung, you are the only one. It's my honor to have you here. And he introduced his wife and two little daughters. And we have a wonderful dinner. And he said to me, Johnny, would you come to my funeral? Say something for me. I said, how do you know? You will go first. Maybe I go first. It's the same way here. If you go first, I'll say something at your funeral. And
I remember, distinctly remember that while we sat there and ate dinner, delicious dinner by the way, your prosecutor, Michael McCall, calls you a hero for standing up, telling the truth, and cooperating to the degree especially that you did with the investigation. And I'll always remember when he asked you about, the way he put it was, if I should predecease you, Johnny, would you please come and say a few words at my funeral? And you two had that very memorable exchange, which was a memorable close to a very memorable day.
that was something very special to my own prosecutor. And I remember I said to him, I promise you, you will be one and only prosecutor to Johnny Chung.
Okay.
Thank God for that.
Well, thanks for answering a lot of questions today. And it's not over yet, but I know you want to do the right thing for the country, for your family. Any final words you want to share with anybody?
Well, I made a mistake. Indeed, I paid a huge price for that. But I want to thank the Lord Jesus Christ for His mercy and grace. And I want to thank my family, my church member who prayed for me all the time. But since the day when I became American citizen, I give my loyalty to the United States already. I want to send a message to the President of the United States. Mr. President, my loyalty to the United States, not for sale. Never.